This is a Film Stories original podcast.
Did you know a 2018 study showed half of prenatal vitamins tested had unacceptable levels of heavy metals? I'm Kat, mother of 3 and founder of Ritual. When I was 4 months pregnant, I couldn't find a prenatal I could trust, so I created my own. Ours is made traceable, third-party tested for heavy metals, and recently earned the Purity Award from the Clean Label Project. But don't just take my word for it. Get 25% off at ritual.com/prenatal.
We made this.
Hello and welcome back everyone to the X-Cast. The truth is in here. This is our special Fight the Future Minute podcast. I'm Tony Black once again, and you are listening to our coverage of minute 20 of the X-Files Fight the Future. This minute begins at 90 minutes precisely, as Special Agent in Charge Darius Michaud promises he can definitely defuse the bomb inside the Texas Federal Building, and ends at 19 minutes and 59 seconds with Mulder stopping outside the building worriedly as the evacuation begins. And to discuss this minute, I'm joined once again by X-Cast patron and recurring guest, Kurt North. Good to have you back.
Hello.
So yeah, we're right in the thick of it now, aren't we, with Mr. Michaud, and he's promised that he can defuse. As Scully said at the end of the last minute, can you defuse it? And he said, yes, I can. And we talked in the last episode about how he's blagging it because he's obviously open. He needs the bomb to go off. And Mulder's not very convinced, is he? He says, we've got less than 4 minutes to find out if you're right. Because at this point, like, how would he defuse that bomb? It doesn't look very easy to do. It's not like there's a red wire and a blue wire.
Yeah, well, like we said last episode, wasn't it, that the bomb squad actually come in and gave them tips and stuff. I mean, you've got tons of C4, a computer, timer, and some astrolite liquid. And you're going to defuse that in 4 minutes, which he's right to ask. But then I'm also thinking, just let the man get on with it. because obviously in Mulder's mind, it's like, stop talking to him.
It's true. Just like, buzz off, I'm busy. We've got 4 minutes. Like, I've got a big old bomb here to diffuse. But that's it. He just gets up in his face, doesn't he, then, Michaud? And it's like, do you hear what I said? Get out.
Yeah.
And does this fuel Mulder's suspicions about this? Why, at this point, why is Michaud so keen to be doing this on his Todd? Is it out of valor? Is it that he just wants to, make sure that these guys don't die? I mean, what would you think you would be? What would you think you would be thinking in this position? Would you naturally be suspicious of his motives at this point, or is this a bit of a Mulder leap of logic? No,
I think Mulder's quite right to have these ticks that he's kind of thinking, little mouse wheel in his head going, there's something not right here. But the particular, I mean, we're jumping up to the point where they're outside the building, but it's these little moments. We mentioned in the last minute about the fact he comes in and looks at the bomb and, how did he react there, and, his little looks that he did. And then you've got this bit here where he's in Mulder's face saying, get out. That it might not necessarily tick right now, but you can definitely see it in Mulder's face that there's an element of, I'm not quite sure what's going on here. I'm not putting it together. Yeah. So I think that, it's definitely something that's not quite there. And the one thing I would have loved to have had, I would have loved to have Michaud as a regular. Can you imagine Michaud as a regular up to this point? I mean, it would have, because the way that he stands off to Mulder, the chemistry between the two of them. Terry O'Quinn's a great actor anyway, but the way that they both bounce off each other in this scene, it just in an alternative universe, it would have been great to see more of that. Yeah,
imagine that as a shock factor though. Like if Michaud had been like their boss, or had been like a major FBI guy, part of the mythology and all this, and then they kill him off in like the first 20 minutes. Yeah. Because you'd be sitting here thinking, he's not going to die, it's Michaud, it's Terry O'Quinn, they're not going to kill him. Yeah. Like, and then suddenly it's like, what's he doing? Imagine if it was Skinner.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, so if Sarah Blair's listening, I'm sorry for even going here, Sarah. Right? But imagine if they'd done this with Skinner, and Skinner had been tasked with this, and he had to blow himself up. God. I mean, it would have been horrible because Skinner's such a great character. You wouldn't want this to happen to him. But at the same time, wow, what a twist. Like, what a...
Yeah, and there would have been still an element of is Skinner still alive, just for Sarah's sake, you know, because you don't know. You don't know. even though you've seen his body atomised. Well, to be fair, it happened with the Smoking Man, didn't it? We saw him atomised. So, yeah, exactly. Anything's possible. No one dies in the X-Files.
No one dies. You just have, like, you know, Skinner's twin brother, who also happens to be a detective who then happens to get into the FBI. Yeah. Yeah, he's on the David train. But he gets promoted into the FBI, and then he becomes the assistant director again. He's what would his name be? We've had that. Steve Skinner.
Steve Skinner. Oh, Steve Skinner. Yes.
Here is the birth of Steve Skinner, everyone.
Oh, okay? No, he's now in the law. Oh, God.
Anyway,
okay. We've come
Steve
off
Skinner and Dave Crouch. We have a bit, yeah. So it's in the end when like Michaud's in his face. It's Scully, isn't it? Who's there? Like, you know, come on, we've got to go. Like, he's right essentially, even though he's bending protocol here. So yeah, reluctantly they head out. Michaud faces down the bomb, and at this point, I suppose you're assuming he's going to defuse it, isn't he? Or he's going to have a go at it. And this as the audience, even though Mulder's a bit. The audience are going to assume that this guy is just going to do this. So then you get the evacuation. So there's scenes here now, aren't there? Like shots of the building being evacuated, police, fire, things like that. Yeah,
and I think that there's something that you mentioned to me before we came on air about using the children as well. The fact there's a bus full of children as well, which I never noticed before.
Well, no, me neither. And they threw that in to make Mulder and Scully look more heroic as such. Although I don't know if. Because this is the thing, they're not. This isn't like a big action like movie where they're like literally Mulder and Scully are carrying like children out of the building. You know, it's not like that. It's more of a general sort of. If anything, it's the police and the fire people who are more heroic than Mulder and Scully because they're making sure the children get out. You know, but I suppose it adds extra peril, doesn't it?
Yeah,
as opposed to it just being business people. You know.
Yeah, I mean, on the commentary, Rob Bowman says that we often see X-Files through point of view storytelling. And something that I know that we in the X-Cast have brought this up time and time again about the different angles that the show's viewed through. But Rob Bowman was very kind of, on the commentary, says that he wanted to see this through the prism of Mulder and Scully. And that you see the evacuation, still a few establishing shots, like you said, like the bus and the police and fire and stuff like that. But it would be out of character for Mulder and Scully to do that because you've mentioned before of Mulder being an action hero. He's not an action hero. He kind of fumbles through stuff. So, so I think that having that, and I think I mentioned this on the last minute that we don't see Mulder with a gun through the entire show, and you'd think that a big grand film like this that you would have Mulder and Scully running around chasing people with guns, and they don't. So
he doesn't have a gun, no.
And I really do appreciate that as a film because you don't even think about it until David Duchovny says it in the making of. You don't realise it.
Yeah, it's a really good point that is, and it's one that's. It kind of informs the kind of film this is because it's not a traditional action movie. It is a conspiracy two-parter writ large. And in those, Mulder does have episodes where he's got a gun and things, but it's not all the time. He's not a gun-toting hero. So but like I say, I suppose it amps up the stakes. Having all these people evacuated just makes this, get everyone out quick. It's going to blow. It's going to blow. That kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then obviously you've got and there's some great Mark Snow music going on with all this as well in the background because he's obviously. Upping everything with his. We've talked about this before on this minute podcast, but he's bringing new things into play with the orchestra and stuff like that. And there's a real sense of threat building in the background and intrigue. Like so, when you cut to Michaud, he does this really sort of string thing of intrigue on the with strings, which is like
it's kind of discordant type thing, isn't it? Yeah.
And then a slow sort of ticking. It's almost like a ticking build up, like a discordant sort of boom boom thing. It's like. Almost like a clock, I think. And this is the signature shot. I think this is one of the best shots in the movie, actually, where you get this slow track up Michaud's body.
Yeah.
As he's sitting on the case, which he would usually be using to you defuse the bomb, but he's sitting on this case and he's just watching this timer.
Yeah.
I mean, I love that shot, Kurt. I don't know about you.
Yeah, the two shots, I know it's a little bit later, but that shot is seamed into my memory. I can always recall that shot watching it in the film, watching it in the cinema, and also I know we'll talk about the explosion time, but just before the explosion really kicks out and you see the FBI jacket puff up, those two moments are iconic in the film for me. I think they're so ingrained in my head that it's the fact that you're expecting, it subverts what you're expecting. You're thinking, as you said before, you're expecting him to be trying to solve the bomb, to basically disarm the bomb, and he's just sitting there, just like quietly contemplating what's going to be happening to him in the next 40 seconds or so. I think it's really done well.
It's a 13-second shot, that.
Oh, right,
and that,
okay,
I mean, I think that it goes from 39 seconds to 52, and I timed it specially because I thought that's brave in the middle of what is ostensibly a fairly big sort of action thriller sequence to actually take the time to do a slow tracking shot for effect of actually because essentially what it is a big revelation, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's the revelation that Michaud is going to let this go off. And because before this, you're assuming that he's going to defuse it, as I said earlier. Yeah. So it's that quite a chilling moment where you just see him sitting on this, looking at the bomb, and you think, "Shit,
yeah,
this is going off now. And he's going to die. He's going to die. Like yeah. he's going to let himself die." And he's got this look in his eyes of just sort of resolute determination, almost like a dead-eyed look in his eyes of just staring at his doom.
Yeah,
and it's a great moment because it's quite a chilling moment, really, isn't it?
Yeah, oh, absolutely. I think, and it's the way that it changes pace. That as you say, the tracking 13 seconds. That in any other film, you'd probably see panic and stricken and going outside and seeing everyone running around all the time and the person defusing the bomb and things like that. But the way that the X-Files plays it, I think is marvellous. And I don't know if it's this one or the next scene when he's got his head in his hands. It might be this one. It goes to a profile shot as well. So it tracks up and then goes to a profile shot. And I only noticed this. It's amazing when you micro-analyse something that's a minute long that you can pick up more stuff. That the door's intact behind him. So the door that they've broken into, the door's back intact. But that's
really,
yeah.
So they filmed this first, then presumably
have, yeah.
They filmed this at the beginning, or they must have done.
Yeah,
they must have done because you assume presumably this is a set. This would be on set, wouldn't it?
Yes, it is because in the book, I can't remember who wrote it now. There's a making of the X-Files book which I've got, which I looked into.
I'm looking at it right now.
So in that book, it says that they had an area in mind. They had a vending machine area in mind but traffic outside, the sound from the traffic outside, and the area was too small and too low for the lighting to be put in. So it was done on, I think it was stage 16 that they filmed this in. So yes, it was done on a set.
I'm assuming that's the 20th Century Fox lot, wouldn't it? I imagine in California.
Yeah, I think it was like something like stage 16 or something like that.
Stage 16.
Yeah,
that makes sense. Yeah, to have something like this because and as we'll talk about in some future minutes, they used a lot of miniatures for the exterior of this building as well as it goes on. So there's a lot of it is put together, which is understandable because you want the freedom to get these really good shots. With a set, you can position it in such a way that you get a shot like that brilliant track. It is one of the best Rob Bowman moments in this movie in terms of his direction. I think this, and it's just brave. It's just brave to do that in the middle of what is otherwise a fairly quick cut action sequence. Yeah, it just stops things necessarily in order for the impact of this revelation, and then it throws up so many questions like what's he doing? Like, firstly, what's he doing? Like, who is he? Why is he letting it go off? Like, why would he do, all this immediately?
Did he know it was in that building? Because it wasn't that building. There? So
yeah, exactly. So it's a really great way without any dialogue of communicating a really interesting conspiratorial, thriller plot point, and that takes some skill to do. So that's a great bit of visual storytelling. And then obviously you've got the final little bit of the minute, which is Mulder and Scully running out of the building. They look like the last people running out the building. I think they are at this point. I think it's just those two running out. Everyone else seems to have gone, pretty much. And then Mulder turns back and you've got a little bit of, I think it's half of Scully going, what are you...
Yeah.
What are you doing?
That's the end of the...
That's the end of the minute. Because Mulder does that classic, look, stop. I'll stop outside a building that's like 30 seconds away from blowing up and look back, shall I?
Yeah. What's going on? I'm not quite convinced.
To be fair, I don't know about you. I'd be like, I'm not convinced, but I'm going to get a reasonable distance away before I look back and do that.
Yeah.
Before going,
I don't think I would have offered to stay with the bomb, to be honest. But I think I'd have been probably in Chicago or somewhere. By that point.
But it's a good dramatic moment, I think, isn't it? Where he stops and he's like wondering.
Yeah.
Because
yeah.
You know, it's a good Mulder moment, and it makes then it adds to the tension because you think, are they going to get away? You know, are they going to get away in time? Is this going to go off? It's a good place to end this minute, and we'll get the other side of what Scully says in our next minute.
We'll get that.
We'll get the So yeah, that's it for this time round. That's minute 20. Thanks for listening again, everybody. You're still on the ride, Kurt. You're still going to be back for minute 21.
Back for minute 21. Yep, all good.
It's boom time. It's boom time next time.
Yes.
It's all going off, basically. It's all going off. So yeah, thanks again, guys. Thanks for listening. Until now, next minute, always remember, trust no one. Previously on the We Made This Network. The Movie Palace.
All right then, so Some Like It Hot. So yeah, I think the thinking here was just that, I mean, we did the lockdown episode last week. I thought it'd be good to do something light-hearted for the first full film discussion back. And I thought, Some Like It Hot was a very strong contender to be that film. So what are your general thoughts on the film? And this wasn't your first watch, was it? I think this is one you'd seen a while ago, is that right?
Yes, that's true. I'd have to look at Letterboxd probably to pin down when I first saw the film, because that's how I keep track of my film watching. But it was some years ago, I think. I think it was around 5-6 years ago, maybe longer. Observing the Pattern, a Fringe podcast.
I think it's what is it the whole Peter's about
Peter being a bit of a nomad.
I think it's just Peter overreacting a little bit.
I think he definitely overreacts, but it is. I think it's a really good. It's a good interaction between these two, and it's a good scene. And I have to admit, I really like Joshua Jackson when he gets kind of intense like that.
Yeah.
For the majority of this show, he's like that as well. But in this scene, I really love.
We dig music.
Ben Folds, or Benjamin Scott Folds, is an American singer-songwriter, musician, composer and record producer from Chapel Hill in North Carolina in America.
North Carolina.
North Carolina.
It's next to North Carolina.
It is. It's sort of in between north and south, that's why it's Snorth.
Yes. Many people would say middle, not Colin.
Snorth, I think Snorth is a better word than middle.
Yeah.
I think middle's overrated. We'll go with Snorth.
Check out all of these shows and more on the We Made This podcast network.